A new world order. A new world order. A new world order.
And we are, as a people, opposed to secret societies.
This is extremely dangerous to democracy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I wanted to make this quick introduction for this video about the New World Order, or as some of us like to call it, the NWO. I'm going to put a link in the description. I was going to include it in this video, but it's about a 20-minute long clip, and it's a compilation of different politicians and presidents over the years admitting that there is a New World Order. And basically, the NWO is the concept of one large world government being run by a handful of shadowy elites. And it's basically already in place now, okay? But it's not to the point where it's so obvious that everybody knows. You know, if you study the United Nations, it is a world government, and it was built by the United States. But what I want to do here is talk to you about a couple pros and cons about a system like this. So first of all, I would support a world government if it was based on the United States Constitution. Because honestly, this republic has one of the greatest systems in the world, one of the best equalities of opportunity. I mean, people can call this country racist all day, but we had a black president just a few years ago. Okay, so they're full of shit, and they're lying to themselves if that's what they really think. But I also think that a world government would be good just because, honestly, we need countries to get along. You know, we need to put an end to war and things like that. And honestly, at the end of the day, most people are selfish and greedy assholes who only care about themselves and their families. And that's not wrong, okay? But at the end of the day, at some point, you have to think about the greater good and about the planet as a whole, you know, because we're all living on this rock together, okay? And we have to find solutions to our problems. We can't just keep blowing up people that we disagree with infinitely, okay? So because of that, because most people won't look into things, because most people only care about themselves, you know, if the Illuminati hit me up and they were like, hey, we need you to be a shill and lie to people and convince them that the world government is a good idea, I would do it all day. Because most people, they don't care about the rest of the world. They only care about their own little corner of the universe. And I've never been a person like that. I'm the type of person that wants to make a difference in the world. So for those reasons, you know, I do think it could be a good idea. And also, think about it, it'd be a lot easier to travel. I've been to Spain, France, England. And imagine if traveling to different countries around the world was a lot like traveling through states in the United States. That's what things would be like, basically, under a world government. The world would be more connected. We'd be like a global family. I say global because we all know the damn earth is flat. I mean, come on, guys. It's not that hard to figure out. Now, there are a couple reasons that I am opposed to the world government, though. The first reason is that the people who are doing it basically lie to us every day, okay? They lie to us about the reasons we get into wars. They commit false flags, or people run around and shoot up buildings. You know, part of the whole plan to disarm this country is to make people want to surrender their own weapons. And one of the only ways you can do that is to make people scared of weapons. And so if you study a lot of these school shootings and things like that, they have a lot of things in common, guys. There's people that have ties to military branches, people who are on psychoactive medications. They just run up and start shooting up schools. I mean, these aren't coincidences, okay? This is inching us very slowly toward a system where we will give up our own guns. And that's the plan, because that'll help us get closer to the world government. So they lie every step of the way. Donald Trump is a prime example. People think that this man really put America first, when really he ran up the debt by trillions more. You know, he gave money to Israel and all these other countries that basically hate us. All right, if you really study it, the United States is the world leader in giving money to other countries, but we're at the bottom of the world as far as how we treat our own people. All right. We're out here sending weapons and money to all these countries around the world, but we can't feed the poor, man. We can't help people that are dying of easily preventable shit. I mean, it's sickening. So because of these types of lies, I don't support the New World Order, okay? I think America is a strong country on its own, And I'd like it to stay a sovereign nation that's not subject to the rules of the UN or China or the Rothschilds or whoever's really running the whole show. Okay? Another reason that I'm kind of opposed to the New World Order kind of has to do with something from history, and particularly the Bible. If you study the Tower of Babel, I do believe that that is evidence that God did not intend for there to be a one world order. You know, these people were here, they were building this big ass tower, right? And basically God saw what was going on, and he confounded their languages and confused them so they couldn't understand each other and had them spread about the world. So I do believe that that's all the evidence you need if you do believe in the Bible, that a one world plan is not really part of God's vision for this earth. You know, people have different cultures, people have different beliefs. And if we're under a one world system, you know, there would be a one world religion. There'd be a one world money system. And that doesn't fit for everybody all around the world. So because of those reasons, you know, I think that the world government is an eventuality. I mean, those of us who study it, you know that they've been working toward it a long time. Just look on the obverse of the Great Seal, guys. It literally says New World Order in Latin on the back of the dollar bill with a pyramid with an all-seeing eye. I mean, come on. They're not even hiding it, you know? So people just need to wake up, you know? And it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of effort, but please share this information in the video with anyone you can. All right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. God bless.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for listening to Truth Decay. I'm your host, One Concerned American. On this episode, I want to cover a topic that's something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and that's the New World Order. You know, growing up, I heard the 41st President, George H.W. Bush, mention this term a couple times, but as a little kid, I was really familiar with it from the WCW, World Championship Wrestling. Some of you guys might remember there was a group of heels, or bad guys. They went by the NWO, the New World Order. Hulk Hogan was a member, The Giant was a member, Razor Ramon, all these guys. They were great wrestlers. It was a lot of great entertainment, real fun stuff to watch. But as I've gotten older and I've continued to hear the term New World Order over and over again, you know, you look on the back of the dollar bill, you see the Great Seal of the United States. It has on the reverse the words in Latin, Novus Ordo Seclorum, and that means a new secular order. And if you go back and watch the video I just uploaded on Christopher Columbus, I provided some evidence for you that there's been a shadow government in this world since at least the time of Christopher Columbus. And that's what I want to delve into in this video. I want to show you the evidence that it does exist, and that even presidents like Donald Trump, who you think are guys that are fighting this New World Order, they're really just a part of it. So let's go ahead and get started here. If you study Woodrow Wilson, folks, to my knowledge, this is the only president we've ever had that actually had a PhD, and this man was a college professor, and when he was running for president, he wrote a book, and it was called The New Freedom. And in this book, he has a quote where he talks about a shadow government, a group of people that are secretly actually running the world, and you can see he says here, "Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the United States, in the field of commerce and manufacture, are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it." And remember, folks, Woodrow Wilson ended up signing this country onto the Federal Reserve, which is a private banking cartel that prints money and loans it to the United States with interest and has bankrupted our country. He also promised to keep us out of World War I and then got us involved. Going a little bit further in history, this is from a report in 1992 from a state representative, I believe, named John B. Nelson. And you can see here he discusses how the United States went bankrupt in 1933 under President Roosevelt. And you can read 4 executive orders, 6073, 6102, 6111, and 6260. All these executive orders go into detail about how the United States went bankrupt. So this should be all the information that you need, that the United States isn't really in control of its own money system. It's not really in control of our own government. Something is just terribly, terribly wrong with this world. Going a little further ahead, After World War II, things really started to amp up with the New World Order. And you need to read these two documents. I have them both in my digital library. The first is State Department Publication 3972. It's called Our Foreign Policy. I'm going to read a section of that to you in just a moment. And then you need to check out State Department Publication 7277. This was written by John F. Kennedy with an introduction by Harry Truman. And you can see from the title that it actually outlines a step-by-step process for disarming the United States. Okay? So people think John F. Kennedy was a patriot, and this man actually signed a State Department publication document and authored most of it, outlining a plan to disarm our people. You need to wake up. Going back to State Department Publication 3972, again, this is called Our Foreign Policy. This was written by Truman, who is a 33rd degree Freemason and our 33rd president. He dropped the atomic bombs. And you can see in this document that he outlines a plan for an international government. And you can see he says here that the United States is basically part of an international community. We don't think about United States policy without considering the international community, according to Truman. And you can see here he says that nobody can predict where the experiment will lead or how long it will take. It may, in time, lead to the international control of all armament, which is essential. It may lead eventually to a form of world government, which is a possibility that excites the imagination of some adventurous people. So our own presidents, guys, they've promised to keep us out of wars and got us into them. They've bankrupted us. They've agreed to disarm us. They've said outright that we're headed towards a world without weapons and a world where we will be a part of an international community. Something is not right. You can also see here, this is from the second annual report to Congress in January 1st, 1962. And again, this was under the presidency of John F. Kennedy. You can see that this diagram implements a three-stage disarmament plan where the United States and the Soviet Union slowly dismantled their own security forces in favor of a United Nations peacekeeping force. And that's basically where we're headed. If you look at things like Vietnam, the War on Terror, they're basically building up a distaste for modern warfare in the American people so that we will be willing to give up our arms and willing to say goodbye to our military peacekeeping forces. And that's where we're headed. We're not going to have a military at some point in our future, folks. It's all going to be part of the United Nations. It's all going to be part of a world system. Now, a lot of you guys probably think that Donald Trump was standing up to this stuff. You probably think that he's the only president in your lifetime that's really stood up for America and been a patriot. But I'm going to poke a lot of holes in that theory tonight. You need to go out and check out the facts regarding this 1776 commission that he started. This was something that he did just before the end of his presidency. And the goal of it, you can see here in the second paragraph in the quoted section, is to share the story of our nation's miraculous founding, proclaim the self-evident truths contained in the Declaration of Independence, and explain how these founding principles have helped our people overcome great national challenges throughout our history, and how these principles can guide us to a great American future. All Americans should pay close attention to this work. But the truth is, if you actually study who was appointed to lead this commission, the man's name is Larry Arnn, and he's actually loyal to the British Empire, and he's a traitor to the United States. This man has actually published 3 books. One of them is titled Winston Churchill and the Salvation of Free Government. He's head of Hillsdale College's Churchill Project, as well as president of the college for the last 20 years. He's praised Winston Churchill's relationship with Harry Truman, including the famous Iron Curtain speech that Truman had arranged for him. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So, people think that Donald Trump is a patriot, and they think that he started this 1776 commission in order to get people interested in our founding. But he appointed a man who was actually loyal to the British Empire to lead the commission. So this whole thing is really messed up, and it's actually subverting the true intention of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. So there's going to be a lot of text, but I'm going to try to summarize it for you. And if you want to read it for yourself, just pause it. But you can find this article on the Executive Intelligence Review. And if you don't know, guys, this is one of the most dependable resources you could be reading. Everything on their website is basically double-checked, and the research has been duplicated. So if they publish something, you can bet that it's true. All right? Now, remember, Harry Truman came into office after the death of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt basically did give this country our first run of socialism through the New Deal. But when Truman came into office, he wasn't very popular. And this man, Larry Arnn, who is leading the 1776 Commission, he has a lot of praise for the relationship between Churchill and Truman. And remember, Truman was a 33rd degree Freemason, and Winston Churchill was also a Freemason. And if you actually read this Iron Curtain speech that Winston Churchill delivered, he actually recommended that the United States rejoin the British Empire. And looking at the second paragraph here, not only did he recommend that we rejoin the British Empire, but he recommended that we start by participating in an alliance with the other English-speaking Commonwealth nations. He claimed that God has willed the arrangement by backing the English-speaking empire's acquisition of nuclear weapons secrets, which Churchill insisted should absolutely not be shared with the United Nations that Roosevelt had launched. This allegedly godly English-speaking alliance remains today as the Five Eyes International Intelligence Dirty Tricksters. And if you don't know, the Five Eyes is basically the United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the United States. It's the invisible empire. These are the people that use their intelligence agencies to basically run the world and make sure that English-speaking people are the ones that are mainly in charge. You can see it also says that its proponents have consistently opposed the independence of African nations and other victims of European colonization. Many have even opposed self-government for U.S. cities with large Afro-American populations. And this is true if you study Washington, D.C., for example. The city is mostly black, and there are people there that want it to have its own representatives, but because it's a seat of Congress, many people think that it should be run by Congress. They don't want them to have representatives. So this is a prime example of people opposing predominantly African American communities having their own self-governance. Going forward, you can look at what Churchill said in this Fulton speech. Remember, this was called the Iron Curtain speech. He was talking about the United States and England working together to resist communist Russia. And I'm going to read some of this quote here. He says, "Neither the sure prevention of war nor the continuous rise of world organization will be gained without what I have called the fraternal association of the English-speaking peoples. This means a special relationship between the British Commonwealth and Empire and the United States. This is no time for generalities, and I will venture to be precise. Fraternal association requires not only the growing friendship and mutual understanding between our two vast but kindred systems of society, but the continuance of the intimate relationship between our military advisors, leading to common study of potential dangers, the similarity of weapons and manuals of instructions, and to the interchange of officers and cadets at technical colleges. It should carry with it the continuance of the present facilities for mutual security by the joint use of all naval and air force bases in the possession of either country all over the world. This would perhaps double the mobility of the American Navy and Air Force. It would greatly expand that of the British Empire forces, and it might well lead, if and as the world calms down, to important financial savings. Already we use together large numbers of islands. More may well be entrusted to our joint care in the near future." You can see at the very bottom underneath the quote it says, "In short, the academic expert chosen as the chairman of Trump's 1776 Commission, Mr. Arnn, is committed to reversing the 1776 Declaration of Independence and rejoining the bloodthirsty empire with its, quote, long train of abuses and usurpations, to impose a nuclear-armed tyranny to lord it over the entire human race, which it is committed to reducing by the billion." So Winston Churchill said in this Iron Curtain speech that the United States and Britain need to join together, basically. We need to share all our military secrets. We need to combine our military powers. We need to interchange our officers and educate them together. And the man who is heading the 1776 Commission, which is basically devoted to the principles of America's founding, is all about this speech and all about this relationship between America and Britain. And this is not right. And if you get into the 1776 Commission a little bit more, one of the ways that this really differs from the intent of our founders is how they look at the term general welfare. If you read the Constitution, okay, it mentions 3 times that we were leaving the Empire of Great Britain because we wanted a commitment to the general welfare of the people. And that doesn't mean just giving people money like welfare as most people think of it today. It just meant looking out for the public good. If you look in the second paragraph, the idea of the general welfare, a commitment to effectively providing for the well-being of humankind with continuous improvements enabled by a total commitment to scientific advances and their application to enhancing our productive powers. That's the original intent of the general welfare. But if you study Britain, folks, their meaning of the general welfare is what the 1776 Commission is trying to convince you in this last paragraph, which is basically free market ideas like free enterprise, free trade, and capitalism. This is directly the opposite of what general welfare meant. General welfare was supposed to be the idea of looking out for all of our people, looking out for the public good. But these guys are trying to reinterpret the Constitution and tell you that it is basically a means for people to get rich. Okay? It's kind of a way to defend the fact that there are all these millionaires and billionaires that leech off of all of us. They take our hard work. They're getting paid thousands of dollars an hour while we slave away, and we never really are able to make anything because, again, we live under a fractional reserve banking system. So these guys have totally changed the meaning of what general welfare means. They're trying to convince you that the United States should be a lot closer with Great Britain. And I know how it looks. I mean, if you study Trump and everything that was going on with him, I mean, the royals were against him. It seemed like a lot of the British lords were against him and things like that. But then why would he go and appoint a man who was loyal to the British Empire to lead a commission like this? Something just is not right. So you need to study this a little bit more. Go and look into the 1776 Commission for yourself. Tell me what you think in the comment section. But I've seen enough to know myself that this is just not right. As far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump sold this country out. People are out here still defending this man. There's people that actually think he's the secret president right now and he's really running things. I mean, believe what you want, guys. You know, I don't really care at this point. Like I said, both sides lie to us. You can't depend on one man, let alone a politician, to save this country. It's going to take all of us coming together to really fix it. And we don't need to become a part of the British Empire again, but that's basically what's already going on. The New World Order is already in place. They let us think that we have our countries and they let us have our history and things like that to some degree. But go and watch the movie They Live. It's discussed in this movie how there really are no countries anymore. The world government is already in place. It's what the United Nations is. And the United States, we're the ones that built the United Nations, guys. So it's not really a secret for the people who are in the know. We just got to wake more people up about this. So please share this information. Please go and study the 1776 Commission. It's not what you think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I appreciate your time. God bless. Oh, and don't forget.
They're all covered with filthy germs, aren't they, Smithers?
Why, what do you mean, sir?
Freemasons run the country!
Ugh.